Good morning. Thank you for joining us on this one-word devotional. I'm Gary, one of the pastors here at Centerpoint. And I have a word. I wasn't sure if I used it before, but I wanted to do it again if I have. It's the word remember. I forget. I don't remember well. But we need to remember. Here's Jesus used it when he inaugurated the Lord's Supper. We're sharing the Lord's Supper on Sunday. And so here's what it says. In the same way, after supper, he, Jesus, took the cup, saying, "This cup is a new covenant in my blood. Do this whenever you drink it in remembrance of me." We need to remember. We get so busy and so wrapped up in life that we often forget all that God has done. And so he had this opportunity with the Lord's Supper. Here's these symbols to remind us, to recall, to call to our mind what God has done and what God has done for us. And so we needed the Lord's Supper. So we have these elements, the cup and the bread, as a symbol to remind us of God's love. Israel had symbols. They had 7 feasts. One of them was the Passover. The Passover is when we celebrate the Lord's Supper. It's where we grew from the Lord's Supper. The Lord's Supper grew from the Passover. I'll get it right. And it's a symbol. It reminds us. And I wanted to call us to, it's Thanksgiving, and it's a time to remember all God has done. And I've been challenging us for the last couple of weeks at church every Sunday, whether you're at home or with us here in this place, that we need to write a God story. So I'm going to continue that effort of encouraging you to write a God story. It's so easy to get so busy. It's so easy to get all wrapped up in life that we forget all that God has done for us. You know, God didn't stop with the Bible. It wasn't I'm done acting, I'm closed, there's nothing more for me to do. But God still works. So I want to challenge you to write a God story. I want to challenge you to remember what God has done. Can you write a story that says, I remember God was faithful. He keeps his promises. And I remember, or maybe a story when God provided that. I remember when this was going on, I was hurt, I was wounded, we were struggling, and God provided. Can you write a story of God's protection? That I remember when things were happening in life and God turned this and God moved this and God protected me. I want to challenge us to write God's stories. You know, I try to journal, and it's something that I don't do very well. I'll journal for a month, I'll journal for 2 months, and then I'll stop. I'll get busy, something to come up, and then I'll stop for a month or two, and then I'll start back again. But I have these short clips of memories. It's not long, just a Bible verse. Here's the verse I read. Here's what the verse said to me, and here's what God is doing. Just 3 little things. 5, 6 sentences is all I'll ever write. But I remember. So I want to challenge you to remember, to write a God story, to share a God story this Thanksgiving. As you sit around the table with family and friends, I remember God provided. I remember God's faithfulness. I remember God's provision. I remember God's protection. God is with us. He's still alive. He's still working. And here's what I wanted to end with. I will make known the Lord's faithful love and the Lord's praiseworthy acts because of all the Lord has done for us. Even the many good things he has done for the house of Israel, which he did for them based on his compassion and the abundance of his faithful love. God has blessed all of us. God has moved in our life. What do you remember? What can you share that God has done for you? I remember. Write a God story. Tell a God story. See what God has done. God bless you. Have a great week. I'll see you Sunday here, online, wherever. And we'll have a great time as we worship God. I love you. I really do. And I'm praying for you.